Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. Now, since the last episode, spent a considerable amount of time going across the ice flats and coming up this hill. And for inclines like this, I'm having to use a lot of RCS to get up the hill. I started at, I believe I had in the neighborhood of 250 RCS when I started this hill, and I'm down to 173. So I don't know how much of this I can do and still be able to maneuver. But we are getting up the hill. I'm 3.8 kilometers from the landing site and continuing. Still needing to boost the speed with a little bit of RCS to keep this thing moving forward. Although it should get easier when I reach the peak of the hill, which I'm actually fairly close to. And then there's a slight downhill before there's another hill to get into an area that's actually away from the lake. And I think what I'm going to do here is continue on as much as I can, get as far away from this lake area as I can possibly manage. And actually, I'm thinking right now what might be a better idea to do. Switch back to staging mode here. And light the engines a little bit. Take this thing up. And then use forward thrusters and a little bit of main engines, which seems to be a bit of a problem because this thing isn't exactly balanced. But this way I should be able to get a lot more forward momentum going. So we'll just fly along over here and set down somewhere on the other side of that hill ahead. Turn RCS off, try that again, see if this thing will. No, it won't. The vertical engines, the ascent engines, are not exactly what I would call balanced. But it seems to be workable as long as I do things carefully. And it looks like we're going to at least get past that hill and find ourselves in another biome. We can get a clue about that with a crew report. While in space near Minmus. Okay, we'll take that. Apparently we have to actually be on the surface to be getting the benefit of a Minmus biome. Okay, we're 7 kilometers from the landing site now. We will be getting over that hill onto the surface terrain beyond. Alright, let's activate this engine as well. And now that should do it. The main thing now is going to be to just fly this thing, land it, get some more science, and then take off and return to Kerbin. And for that reason, I have to be careful about how much fuel I'm using, because there is a limited supply. Okay. Well, that wasn't such a smart idea. This thing is not going to have stability that way until these wheel legs and other engines are jettisoned. And I'm not ready to do that yet. On the other hand, I'm not ready to crash either. Okay, central engine turned off again, and we have a destiny with the ground up here somewhere. At this point, I'm just going to try to set down gently so that we can do one more round of science. And then I think the wise thing to do is going to be to head this thing back to Kerbin, turning it now so that it's pointed in the direction of flight. Using a little bit of vertical thrust now to slow down the descent to the ground. Forward velocity doesn't matter too much. We just want to make sure the vertical touchdown speed is acceptable and slow. Let's see, let's get our surface information here. Surface speed, okay, horizontal speed 23. Let's just watch the vertical speed. And keep that from being something that will cause an explosion. We want to go ahead and descend and touch down. But we need to do so at a safe velocity. Keep the vertical speed about 3 or 4 meters per second. That should be slow enough for a safe landing. I understand these landing gear units are rated for a pretty decent impact velocity. Okay, we're down. Doing this crazy two-wheeled maneuver thing. Bring the other set of wheels down. And now we're moving at 18 meters a second across the surface. Turning RCS off and continue applying. Whoa, 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 whoa. What blew up? Something exploded. Radio mount parachute. Another radio mount parachute. That's a problem. That's 2 of the 4 parachutes on this thing. Okay, we're going up a hill. We're decelerating naturally. I'm applying some reverse stick here to continue slowing down and keep the thing from tipping forward anymore. There are 4 more parachutes on the science module, so we still have potential for a safe landing when we get back to Kerbin. But I would say we can't afford to lose any more parachutes. We're also down to 87 monoprop and getting pretty low on the fuel. So as soon as we stop and get our last science report, it will be time to leave. Crew report. Okay, let's overwrite this one. Minmus Lowlands. Okay, that's another good one. As a matter of fact, I actually refuse stored data. Okay. Review report. Minmus Lowlands, 100% for transmit, so let's do that. Acceleration is down to 8.0 meters per second. We're slowing down. We should come to a stop fairly soon. If this is the lowlands, I'd hate to see the highlands. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, let's start by turning around to a heading of 270. So that'll be the direction we take off in. Now we can set the brakes and let it come to a stop. We've used one goo canister and the material bay. We have another goo canister, so let's use it. Okay, that's 50 science if we recover it. Keep that data. Log temperature data. We can't override. We don't want to override. Crew report. We get 100% for transmitting, so let's transmit. Review stored data. That's an EVA report. We get 100%, so we'll send it. This one we will keep. Review data for the sensor. We only get 50% for sending the temperature data, so let's go ahead and transmit this one and then take another reading, which we will keep. All right, we'll keep that data. All right. Against my better judgment, I'm going to attempt another EVA to get a surface sample from this area. And we're going to start with an EVA report before doing anything. We get 100% science for it, so we'll transmit it. And even, well, no, we can't transmit it until he gets back in. Okay, get back in. Review stored data. EVA report. Transmit. Surface sample we have to keep. We can't get another one because we can only carry one at a time. Unless surface samples from different locations count differently. So let's find out. Alright, let's grab a new surface sample from Minmus slopes. Okay, we'll keep that one. It's another 150 science. We can get it home. Another EVA report, perhaps. We get 100%, so we transmit it. Let's see if we can get him to jump up on there. Whoa. Jump, you could jump to orbit with this thing. All right. Board. Alright, I am not going to risk any more EVA or any more anything on the surface of Minmus. It is time to leave. So, first, some upward thrust. Get enough altitude, and then we'll jettison this stuff and proceed on the main central engine. Okay, we're gaining altitude. And now let's jettison all this other stuff. and make for the sky. Full thrust, and let's burn for orbit. Let's get our flight data. Bring the apoapsis up to about 6 or so. We should easily have enough delta V to get back to Kerbin. Alright, apoapsis 8 kilometers. And Patney Kerbin is headed back home. Alright, it is time, so let's do our circularization burn. It'll be a quick one. Guess who forgot to set the camera mode? Alright. Now that we've got an orbit, figure out where the system is. Okay, here we are. So I think a burn about here should put us on a course that heads back into Kerbin. Kerbin periapsis down to 8,000, 3,000, 2,500, 1,500, 784 kilometers, 249, step to a smaller increment, 81 kilometers, 43 kilometers, 7 kilometers. So that gives us a very nice, quick and easy one burn return. Okay, 0, and let's put this about 45 seconds before the node. Alright, let's get the Smart ASS for easy steering. Get lined up with our maneuver node and get ready to send this guy home. And find out if 4 parachutes on the materials bay is enough to keep it from being destroyed on impact. Here's hoping. Okay, here's our maneuver node warning. It's a 32-second burn. We don't need to light up until about 16 seconds before the node. A little bit of time warp to speed that up. Light the engines, and we burn for home. I know we've got enough fuel for this burn, so it should be completely uneventful. In which case, I'm going to check in as we get close to hitting the atmosphere at Kerbin. Alright, here we are. The moment of truth is coming up fast, as is the planet Kerbin. Let's go ahead and turn the ship retrograde. I'm not actually anticipating the need of it for braking because our periapsis is 33 kilometers. But I'm thinking it might be a good idea to use that for extra braking, for making sure the parachutes work. See here, we've got 4 of them mounted on the materials bay, so that maybe this time the materials bay won't be destroyed on impact.
That's the hope, at least. It's carrying a lot of valuable science. We'd like to actually get it back to KSC, excuse me. And that's why I chose to go for this single burn return, so that I could have as much fuel as possible for braking right around the time of deploying the parachutes, to make sure nothing got torn loose. And yes, we're landing at night. I don't particularly prefer that, but it can't be helped at this time. Time warp cutting out right about now. Gauging some physics time warp. Surface information. Screaming in at 3.2 kilometers per second. And now decelerating fast. Go ahead and let the atmosphere do most of the work of braking. Okay, we're climbing out, so let's help it out with the engines. We do not want to climb back out into orbit. See how this is looking here. Alright, I cut the engines just right. We'll climb out a little bit now, but we'll come down on the daylight side. That I can go along with. More time warp to reach that point. Alright, our altitude is down to 45,000 and descending at about 173 or so meters per second. Descent rate is accelerating, of course. And it looks to me like we're going to come down somewhere past these lakes, probably in these plains or whatever over here. Everything's looking good. Altitude now 40 kilometers and descending at 184 meters a second. Okay, I think I can turn this off. Get rid of that. Turn the thing heads up just to satisfy my own OCD. The velocity is dropping. We should start seeing some re-entry fireworks again. There it is. Some serious deceleration going on here now. Altitude dropping fast. Velocity dropping fast. This episode may turn out to be a little bit longer because I'm going to go through the whole landing here. I don't want to miss any of it. 18 kilometers, 17 kilometers, 16 kilometers above the surface. This number here being the more important one. Horizontal speed down to 800 meters per second and slowing. We are definitely coming down in those plains or grasslands or whatever they are. And now we're tumbling. This is a bad thing. Alright, jettison that and deploy the parachutes. And that piece just nicely missed us. We'll have full parachute deploy at 500 meters. Above the terrain, that is. See how far away that part of the ship is when it explodes. That'll give us an idea of how far behind it we are. 1.5. So any second now. We have full deploy, descending now at 4.4 meters per second, and the crash tolerance on this thing, on this lab, is 6 meters per second. So as long as we're going slower than that, it won't blow up on impact. I do believe we're going to get some science out of this that will let us build better rovers in the future. And there's the shadow. A little bit of physics time warp just to speed it up a bit. This would be the first one of these that I've ever managed to return to the surface without it blowing up. I still would have preferred to have 2 more parachutes on the capsule, but that's not a problem, because this seems to be working. We have recovery. Alright, let's go ahead and recover this thing. So we got 611.3 science out of this mission. So let's now head into the research section. Alright, we got a grand total of 826 science, 611.3 for the last mission, and 6 and the other that we already had. So let's see, what can we come up with here? There's landing leg and the other parachute, barometer, and a couple of ladders, batteries and such. What's this? Aerodynamic stuff. The octoport or probe. You know what I'm not seeing here is more wheels, landing gear, probe wheel, rover wheels, and that sort of thing. We've got this primitive aircraft landing gear, but okay. Now let's start down here. We get the LT2 landing strut, so we'll go ahead and get that. Oh, wait a minute. Here we are. For 300 science, we can get some better wheels and a probotidine rovemate base, whatnot. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and get this. We'll make better rovers with this. And what do we got out here? The gravioli detector and the computing nose cone. And the really big wheels. And those are going to be expensive. Let's see, we've got 366 science remaining. Let's spend 160 here. And let's see. I'm going to get this collection because it will be useful in building rovers and such. And that leaves us with 46 science. And I think with what I've picked up this time, I'll be able to build a much better rover and come up with a better launch vehicle to go with it. And we'll find out next time. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.